Hello, thank you for watching this video today here from us at Eido. I'm Bruce Cullen, I'm the Head of Products here, and it's with great pleasure that I have in taking you through all of the cool functionality that we've built in Eido that we can help with your Intune life using. So without further ado, let's dig in. So when you first load up Eido, this is the default dashboard. This is the first thing you will see, and clearly as we're based on top of Intune, it's all about compliance and configuration policies along with application issues, which we surface on this high-level dashboard. We let you slice and dice them in various different ways by department. We let you see top issues. As with all good dashboarding tools, we have the ability to add items. So if you see something you're not seeing on the default dashboard, you can add it or create your own dashboards, of course. The other thing we do, apart from the obvious stuff to do with Intune, is we enhance this information with data we collect ourselves in the form of OS patch information. So we will show you both patch inventory and status, but we'll also show you OS support because it's always really important to know when you've got an OS that's no longer supported. And this is something we collect ourselves. We do so without using an agent, so no extra agents to worry about. And this works for Windows, Mac and iOS, not just for Windows, which is great. In addition, we also collect warranty information for Dell, HP and Lenovo out of the box. Really cool stuff. Everything you see you can drill down into, so we're going to have a look here at the OS patch issues essentially, and we're going to drill into a device. And here we can see on this one, if I go to the patches tab, that 10 months possibly worth of updates at least are missing, which is clearly a problem. Something is not working here on Brent's Windows device. We also see here compliance and config policies along with their state and any potential issues. We have managed apps in here, and we also have all apps, a complete app inventory. So you might have been wondering when I clicked on config policies what amber was, what we had that was amber in here. And it was an assignment issue essentially with this local account policy. Now, good question to ask here might be, why is this amber rather than red? What dictates amber versus red? And it's a great question to ask. To answer, if I go to my Intune tenants down here, you will see I've got my Eido instance connected to multiple Intune tenants, which is a great piece of functionality in itself, great for MSPs and great for enterprises, where you might have multiple Intune tenants for production or for acquired companies. If I edit one of these tenants and click on one of these tabs over here for configuration or compliance policies, you will see we have the ability to set custom thresholds here. So not everything is red. There are some policies that we are less concerned about. So for example, my search policy at the bottom, I don't really care whether it applies, frankly. It might be useful to know, but it's not the thing I'm going to get out of bed for. Unlike Defender baselines. If my Defender baselines are not applying, that's a security concern. So I do want to know this straight away. So this is all sort of configurable for compliance, config policies, as well as managed apps as well, if there are issues with them. Now, the other thing you might see, if I go back to my config policies, is there's one in here called Update Ring, which makes me think about Patch Tuesday. So the obvious next question is, okay, Bruce, so on Patch Tuesday, will Update Ring go amber every single week on Tuesday? And the answer is no, because we thought of that use case for you by applying effectively grace periods to let you specify a number of days from when the actual policy might change state before actually marking it as such. So in this case, on this tenant, this is a tenant by tenant setting, so I can have it set differently for production from non-production. I've got it set to go amber after 7 days and red after 14 days, as an example. Really cool, really powerful functionality. And this stuff all matters when we surface insights in our reports. The first one being the trends report. Let's have a look at this over a 6-month timeline. The whole idea of these is to see the trends over time. Are we getting better or worse? Now you can see in the case of my OS patch health, we got worse slowly, bad news, but then we fixed it and we're slowly improving now. I'd hope to see this go even further up by the end of February. This is a 6-month time window. Now the thresholds you set per tenant are going to affect what you see here. So it's important you get that stuff right. The next place I'm going to go is to discovered apps over here. So you saw earlier how we effectively know all the apps that are on all of your endpoints, which is great. This is really helpful in app metering, which is the next thing I'm going to dig into now. Let's click on the Windows Sound Recorder. I've got all the different versions across all of my devices, so you can see exactly what's installed where. I can sift and sort, I can filter this stuff, which is great. But what I can also do is slide on is metered. Let's say of the Windows sound recorder, I have 100 licenses. I've got 132 installs. Oh dear, I'm over my total number of licenses. That's really useful information. Now we're working on enhancing this by collecting usage information too, so you can see cases where the app's installed but not even used to know where you can reclaim licenses. Great for those super high value, very expensive applications in some cases. Clearly not in the case of Windows Sound Recorder, but there we are. And this is all done without any agents at all as well, which is really important. So nobody wants another agent. Moving on to certificate management. This is also done agentless. We collect all of the information around certificates that are in use on your endpoints. Now, certificate management is one of those things that nobody cares about until they absolutely care about it because one's expired and it's caused something to go wrong. Now, we can see when a certificate is going to go wrong and more importantly, get notified, get an incident effectively when something is going wrong. So you can take action before a certificate goes pop. Moving on to policy management. So first up, we start by collecting all of the policies that are present on all of your tenants. Now this is really important because with this stuff you have the ability to copy these policies between tenants, which is really, really good if you're an MSP. Good if you have a test tenant and you want to get something right, test it with a small set of endpoints before rolling it out to a larger Intune tenant. The other thing that is doable here that we do is we effectively every day back up all of the policies that we detect. So if there are changes, you can see them and you can compare the different versions of the backups. And of course, you can restore them too. Now that's a good start. It's worth saying at this point that you can group multiple Intune policies from multiple tenants and from them create a template, which is nothing more than essentially a collection of policies. Now, the value of doing this is these can simply then be deployed, which is great, but also these are versions. So if you want to update these over time, it's possible to do this. So you can see exactly what's happened here over time. But the most important feature of this policy management feature is baselines, essentially, which are one or more templates, which are obviously also deployed. And the whole point there is you're able to monitor deviation from these baselines. So here is a baseline, not a whole bunch to see because all the config is in the various templates and policies. But it is visible in deployed baselines. So here we are. I can see at the moment all of my policies my baselines rather, are not green. Bad news. But let's have a look at why. So in this case, we have 3 templates and they're missing, which is not great. We could fix this by simply hitting deploy, but if you've already deployed some of the policies manually, you might simply want to link them up, which is possible where you've deployed policies without using Eido and the policy management functionality, which is very likely to start with. And what this all comes together to produce is effectively deviation from your deployed and managed policies, which is great. If I view the top one here, because I can see there's some issue with it, we can see that the template version is currently out of sync. We can see the template in question, but we can also compare changes between the current reality and the baseline, which is great. So I can see exactly if this is a real concern, whether I need to update my baseline or whether I simply need to redeploy or something else. Finally, moving on to the reporting capabilities. So some of the things I've already shown here because they appear on dashboards, but we have pre-potted reports essentially that are built into Eido to pull various bits of information like warranty information, battery health, certificate status, device guard status, and more. And finally, all of this comes together to produce a list of issues, which are the things that are not right in your Intune deployment with your endpoints. Now you can see them and that's useful to some regard. You can drill into them and see the device and go into that same view we've seen before. But what's most useful here really is to have these issues pushed out to all the other tools we already use around my organization. So email obviously is one of these places, but Slack, Teams and ServiceNow are out of the box integrations as well as Webhook, which really lets you connect Eido to any tool you might have. Our most commonly used integration is ServiceNow. In ServiceNow, typically we find companies want an incident raised because they want to use their existing ITIL processes in their existing ITSM tool, which is all possible with Eido, and this is how it works. So to summarize, Eido brings Intune to everybody, providing comprehensive patch visibility and monitoring alongside app metering, and finally, combined with custom dashboarding and reporting, Eido completes Intune.